Welcome to Khanversations. I'm Muqtedar Khan, your host, and today I'm going to talk about the much watched and much discussed debate in the Indian Parliament about India's Operation Sindoor, which was conducted in retaliation to the terrorist attacks in Pahalgam based on India's new counterterrorism doctrine of zero tolerance for terrorism, in which India will not distinguish between terrorists and the sponsors of terrorism. So if there is an attack by any terrorists on India, going forward, India will not only target the terrorists, but will also target the sponsors of terrorists, even if they are a state. So this is the new doctrine. And so there was a lot of debate about Operation Sindoor and what it meant for India, whether it served India's interests. And of course, this is the Indian Parliament, so there was a lot of drama and a lot of showmanship, lots of emotional speeches. I personally am not interested in politics. I'm more interested in policy. So I was a little disappointed with the debates because there was lots of politics and very little policy discussion. There were issues like when Dr. Jaishankar and Prime Minister Modi both articulated what the new normal was, or what the new India's counterterrorism doctrine was. When they spelled it out, well, we were in the realm of policy. And when the opposition leader Rahul Gandhi was raising issues about the autonomy of the military in fighting wars and planning campaigns, once the decision to fight the battle was taken by the civilian leadership, that was a very interesting issue, which I hope would have been explored more, because it is about civil-military relations in a democracy. So I focused only basically on three speeches: one by Dr. Jaishankar, one by Prime Minister Modi, and one by opposition leader Rahul Gandhi. And after listening to them, I have come up with 6 issues that I think are unresolved in spite of this dramatic and emotional debate in the Indian Parliament, which highlights the fact that India does have a very vibrant democracy, even though it has a brain-dead mainstream media. So I'm going to just highlight 6 points which I think are of concern, and we need to talk about those going forward, and they have remained unresolved. But before I do that, if you have not already subscribed to Khanversations, please subscribe to Khanversations, like this video, press the bell icon. Don't forget to share this video with your socio-political network. And please consider becoming a member of Khanversation by pressing the button called Join, or when you look at the YouTube video. Or you can find a link to join and become member in the description of this video. So my first question really is about the doctrine itself. The doctrine says the following, that India's approach towards terrorism has changed. Now it believes in zero tolerance of terrorism. And what it means is that if there is a terrorist attack, then India will retaliate not only against the terrorists, but also sponsors of terrorists. So basically, if there is a Pakistan-related terrorist attack, then they will go and attack Pakistan. So this is a kind of an effort to generate deterrence against cross-border terrorism. I understand that. And one element of that doctrine is that India will not succumb to nuclear blackmail. So if Pakistan says that, oh, if you attack us, we will escalate to use of nuclear technology, India is not going to stop. They will continue with conventional military action against Pakistan, even under the threat of nuclear escalation. So basically, they're saying there's nothing you can do to stop us. If there's terrorist attack, we will attack you. But there's one question that remains unanswered about this doctrine, is because right now the international community is not fully convinced that India has provided the evidence connecting Pakistan to the Pahalgam attacks. It was a horrible attack, no doubt about it. Designed to kill civilians, also designed to provoke interreligious animosity. But India did not provide the international community with evidence linking Pakistan to that. And one straight up example was that none of the multinational institutions believed in India. So, for example, when India went to FATF to get Pakistan relisted as a sponsor of terrorism, it didn't work. And the reason why it didn't work is because India was not able to provide compelling evidence. So the question is, if tomorrow there is a terrorist attack, God forbid, in Calcutta or anywhere, will India's response be to immediately attack Pakistan without fully investigating who the terrorists are, where the terrorists came from, and what is the connection to Pakistan? That is an issue that really needed to be debated. It's a policy, security policy related issue that needed to be discussed. And that was not adequately addressed, I think, in these debates. And India will continue to fail diplomatically if it does not basically fill this loophole in its counterterrorism doctrine. My second issue is related directly to this, which is that what happened in Pahalgam was not only a security failure, which means they had so much time to go ahead and continue with their terrorist attacks, which lasted close to an hour. Then they escaped, and there was complete intelligence failure. So there is no discussion about intelligence and security failure that was so clearly visible in the Pahalgam thing, and the fact that until now, the Indian government, it's more than 2 months, were not able to find. And now that they claim that they have killed all the perpetrators, not many people are convinced that that has really happened. So I think the fact that the security and intelligence failures that led to Pahalgam atrocity and terrorist attack needed to be discussed a bit more. The third issue is the loss of transparency. This is an important issue. So, for example, if you were to go and read up on, say, the Galwan clashes between India and China, India disclosed how many soldiers it lost in the Galwan encounter. But the Chinese, we really don't know how many Chinese died. The Chinese now say about 4 have died in that encounter, whereas India claims that over 100 people died. But China is not being transparent at all. But India did very clearly. In fact, we can even know the names. If you do a Google search, you'll find the names of all the soldiers who died in Galwan. And if you go back and read the Kargil War, there again, India was very transparent about how many soldiers it lost, I think in the excess of over 700. But the Pakistanis did. In fact, according to some Indian accounts, the Pakistanis did not even collect the bodies of their soldiers because they did not want to disclose how many soldiers they lost in that adventure. So whether it is Kargil, which was in the 1990s, and whether it was Galwan in 2020, the Indian government, like a true democracy, has been transparent about its losses. But now suddenly the new normal is secrecy. India will not announce how many jets it lost on May 7th, how many of them were Rafale, etc. Even though on at least 3 occasions, senior military officers of the Indian Armed Forces have acknowledged losses on that particular night. What they have not revealed is how many and which ones, how many Rafales were lost, whether they're Sukhois or MiGs or Mirages, etc. This lack of transparency, especially not even sharing this information with the leader of the opposition and members of the parliament, is something new. This is the new normal. Because it is very clear that the government is shocked and surprised, because once we find out, there will be lots of questions about India's procurement, India's battle readiness. Why does India still fly 4.5 generation, 4.5 gen fighters? Why don't we have 5 generation? What is happening with Hindustan Aeronautics Limited? Why is Indian Air Force so underprepared? Why are we still short of over 114 fighters? All of those questions will be raised. And of course, these days, as I've said in different shows, that the Modi government seems to have only one purpose, which is to keep constantly promoting Modi's image as larger than life. And so to acknowledge that the first day India lost fighter planes would dent his image. And so they would rather lie and deny than be a transparent democracy. So I think India's loss of democracy is not good. A loss of transparency is not good for its democracy. The fourth issue that I have is about this whole business of Donald Trump claiming that America essentially pressured the two countries using trade to go for a ceasefire. And both Dr. Jaishankar very directly denying that there was no mention of trade, even though he did not say that America did not pressure us to go to a ceasefire. All he said was there was no connection between, we never spoke about trade. And then he also said that there was no discussion between Modi and Trump for a long time. But he does acknowledge that J.D. Vance spoke with Prime Minister Modi, and he himself spoke with Marco Rubio, and Ajit Doval, the National Security Advisor of India, also spoke with Marco Rubio, and Marco Rubio, during the same period, was in touch. So my question is very simple. Okay, if as India claims that there was no mediation and no external pressure from the United States, that US had no role to play, like Russia, like China, like Argentina, like Jupiter, like Pluto, like Shah Rukh Khan, no role in bringing about the ceasefire between India and Pakistan. This was just done between the conversations. Then the opposition has been asking the question, why did you then stop fighting? Why didn't you take POK? I think it's a fair enough political question. Because you bragged a lot before this, and then why did you suddenly stop when you were supposedly winning the battle? Right? My question is slightly different. My question is, if America had no role, then how did Trump know that it was time to announce the ceasefire? And if Trump had announced ceasefire unilaterally without an okay from India, then why didn't India continue for 1 or 2 days to make him look like a liar? That is the question that needs to be debated. If the US had no role in the ceasefire, then why did Trump make the announcement of ceasefire? And why was not that done by either the Pakistanis or the Indian government? So India's entire narrative that there was no mediation, no role, no pressure of the US is not persuasive, not convincing, primarily because Donald Trump was the first in the whole entire world to make that announcement. So I think that issue was also not resolved in this debate in the parliament. The fifth issue is about India's diplomatic failures. India has claimed that it has huge diplomatic failure. No country stopped India from participating in Operation Sindoor. But no country also condemned Pakistan for terrorism. If India had convinced the rest of the world that Pakistan was responsible, indirectly even, for Pahalgam, then why didn't they condemn Pakistan? Why didn't India's best friends, even Israel, did not condemn Pakistan for Pahalgam? Nobody condemned. Prime Minister Modi says there are 193 countries. Great. How many of them condemned Pakistan by name? Anybody will condemn terrorism. There's no doubt about it. I think even ISIS and Al-Qaeda will condemn terrorism if you ask them. So the question that I really would like to know is that there has been diplomatic failure. And that's not the only diplomatic failure. Since 10th of May or 9th of May, Pakistan has been having many diplomatic wins. They got 2 loans from IMF on 9th May while Operation Sindoor was ongoing. And India actively tried to persuade IMF to not give Pakistan those loans. One for $1 billion, one for $1.4 billion. You can go and check. The second one is the World Bank has after that committed to about $40 billion of investment in Pakistan. Asian Development Bank, $800 million. And after that, India failed to convince FATF to put Pakistan on a list. I mean, the list of Pakistani diplomatic wins continue. This month, Pakistan is the chairperson of the UN Security Council, for God's sake. Asim Munir was invited to the White House. Yesterday, not yesterday, on Friday, Marco Rubio met with Dar here. And then in August, Pakistan and the US are having a summit. So Pakistan is racking up diplomatic victories, and India claims that it has diplomatic success. This is such a disservice to India. People need to ask, what is wrong? Is there something wrong with the messenger, or is there something wrong with the message? Denying the failure of Indian diplomacy after Operation Sindoor in order to make Modi and BJP look good is an anti-national exercise. It is undermining India's national interest to advance the interest of one man. And my last issue, the sixth one, is about civil-military relations. The CDS, Chief of Defense Staff in Singapore, acknowledged that India lost certain jets on May 7th, and they lost because of a tactical error that they made, and then they made adjustments, and therefore they dominated 9th and 10th completely. I completely agree with that assessment. India won Operation Sindoor. If it was a war, India won that war. There's no doubt about it. But what happened at that time was, as disclosed by another Indian soldier in Indonesia in a conference, was this. He said that the Indian civilians, Indian politicians, basically made decisions about the rules of engagement. So they wanted to attack only terrorist camps and not Pakistan, so that, the speech that Dr. Jaishankar gave and the phone call, we did not target Pakistan, we did not target Pakistani military, we did not target Pakistani people, we only targeted terrorists. In order to be able to claim that India just hit the terrorist targets and did not hit Pakistan's air defenses beforehand, and therefore they lost those 3-5 jets, whatever it is. This is a serious policy discussion. If India is going to be doing this kind of thing, if this is the new normal, then it's important that the military be involved in planning. And this is something that Rahul Gandhi also raised, the issue that in 1971, military was in charge, and therefore 1971 was a huge success for India militarily, as opposed to Operation Sindoor, in which the politicians were making tactical decisions rather than the soldiers themselves. There's also one comment I want to add as an adjunct to this six, so basically 6.5 issues that I'm trying to raise. Is Prime Minister Modi in the speech again bragged about Atmanirbhar Bharat and about how Indian-made weapons have been showcased, and the world is talking about it. This I find very interesting, that Indian government, especially Modi, is so desperate for foreign acknowledgement. So this external, so the world is talking about Indian-made weapons. No, the world is not talking about Indian-made weapons in Operation Sindoor. The world is talking about Chinese technology defeating French and Western technology. The world is talking about how the Rafales were destroyed, not how many, or denial whether they were or not. So the world has suddenly awakened to Chinese technology. They talk about India, they talk about Rafale jets, and they talk about S-400 success. And when they talk about Pakistan, they're talking about Chinese technology and Chinese jets and Chinese air-to-air surface technology. So those are the things that are far more critical, I think, and those issues have not been resolved in this parliamentary debate, and I think they are critical for India's national security and India's foreign policy. So that's all I wanted to share into this conversation. I hope you found this interesting and thought-provoking. Thanks for watching Khanversation. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, press the bell icon, and share this video with your socio-political network. Until next time, I'm your host, Muqtedar Khan. Take care.